Hey, what's up guys? Time for some more show and tell. So I got these parts in today and I wanted to show you, just do a quick video on them, just pretty much for the reason that I don't know if everyone knows how to assemble AM fittings, or if many people know the best way, or at least my preferred method of using these push lock fittings. So I just got this stuff in from Summit and some other stuff from Motion Raceworks. I got these push lock airline fittings right here. They're like the new wastegates use a 1/16 thread instead of a 1/8 MPT thread, and then I got these T's right here because we're running 2 wastegates now, so you have to run double the lines for your references. And I got this Fragola -16 Parker push lock right here for the lower radiator hose, and then the -10 3000 series Fragola for the turbo drain. And then of course I got the 90 right here, -10, and the straight piece to come off the bottom of the turbo. And then also like 5 foot of 1/8 airline. So I'm only going to assemble probably like one end. I still have to take this piece to Sergio, who has my radiator right now, and get this welded onto the bottom port so that I can screw this big giant -16 fitting onto it like that. And these fittings right here are also Fragola. I really like Fragola fittings. The quality is nice, and I know Fragola is pretty much all Motion Raceworks sells, and they don't like this push lock type stuff, but I've had pretty good success with it. All of my fuel lines. That's a -8 push lock, and then my return line down here. Sorry that it's so dark. This return line is -6 as well. So I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna assemble this 45 right here onto this Parker push lock line. And it involves boiling water, and I already got some water boiling. We'll go in there and I'll show you guys how I do this. So I got some water in here boiling on the pot, and once it gets going pretty good, I'm going to take this end of this Parker push lock hose right here. I'm just going to sit it in the water, and what it's going to do is it's going to make the end of this hose right here really soft, and it'll be a lot easier to put it over the barbs on the end of the AM fitting. So I'm going to sit this in here, let it sit for a little bit, and then once I feel like it's been there long enough, I'm going to take my fitting, which I have right here. I'm probably going to put some gloves on because this hose gets pretty hot, and I'm going to, before this hose cools down, I'm going to put that hose all the way onto this fitting, and once it's on there, it's not going to come off. Alright, so this Parker push lock has been boiling in this water for a pretty good while now. It should be soft enough. So I'm got a rag right here to hold the hose so I don't burn my hand as I'm trying to put this fitting in. So I'm going to try to do this and show it on the camera. So let's see how it goes. Pull this out. Turn the water down. You don't want to let this thing cool off too much. And the water kind of helps you get it on there. You see the fitting. You gotta really Alright, I had to change my approach up just a little bit, so I'm using this down here on the floor, because you really want to get this installed before this hose cools off too much. So I'm just pushing down on the hose, which hopefully y'all can see, and it's worked it pretty much all the way on here. There's like a rubber ring right here. As you can see, this little rubber ring right here. You want to get the end of this hose under this rubber cover right here, ring. So I'll work it a little bit more. And there you have it. That's how you assemble that push lock hose. I don't put anything on here because honestly, once this hose gets over those barbs, you can even see that it's bulging out a little bit right here. It is not going to come off this fitting. I have yet to see one come off. And there's not a lot of pressure in the coolant system, so I'm not worried about that. But yeah, that's how easy it is. It's not too bad. So we'll get back out to the garage. So the next thing I got is I'm gonna connect these lines. I just want to show you guys how I'm gonna run these air lines, because there's a couple of considerations that I was looking at that I really need to take in, and maybe someone can learn something when they see some of those considerations, especially keeping this plastic line right here as far away from heat as you can. So I'm gonna go over here and get my turbo hot side piping with the wastegates on it. Bring it over to the table. So I got this little deal right here, and I kind of did some planning before I ordered these fittings on how I wanted to run my lines, because when you're running CO2, you have to have a line for the CO2 to go in. You have to have a line on the top as well to have a sensor to sense how much pressure is on top, so your boost controller knows to add or bleed off CO2 pressure up top. And then you also need a boost reference line going to the bottom. So I'm gonna need a total of 3 fittings per wastegate, which I have. And these ports are a little bit smaller than your typical 1/8 MPT. They are 1/16 MPT, which is the only place I can find that fitting size with Motion Raceworks. So I think what I want to do is I want to keep, because the turbine is going to be coming off the top right here, so I want to keep these lines away from that heat source. So probably gonna like 90 off this side, come around, have like maybe a straight piece or a 90. I'll have to put these on and see how they're gonna look, and then have them all run out and merge into 2 to 1 right here, and then you just have your single line that goes up to each one of your reference points. I'm gonna put these in the wastegates, and so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. All the fittings are on there now, and it looks pretty crazy with all of these fittings. There's really a lot going on right here, but it's pretty simple once I connect all the lines. You guys will see how simple it is. But if you notice, what I did is I planned before I bought this stuff. I sat right here and I moved these caps around, and I just, you know, like I said, I thought about the design of where all the heat's gonna be at, and it made the most sense to have everything come towards the bottom right here and come over, because this would be the passenger side of the car, the passenger side fender well, where all my reference lines come from. To have everything to come and merge over here, like I said before, with these 2 into 1 fittings, it merges over here and everything just comes underneath the fender. It's nice and clean, and there's not a whole lot of line right here to deal with. So I'm gonna cut this line and match all of my ports up so that they're going to the spot they're supposed to be going to, and show you guys how that looks. There it is. It looks like a bunch of madness going on, guys, but I mean, it is what it is. Whenever you're running 2 wastegates and you're running CO2 boost control, this is kind of the nature of the beast. I'm sure there's going to be some that are going to criticize the way I did this, but this is how I chose to do it. There's so many lines. Y'all, this stuff's expensive. This stuff is not cheap. I'm not going to tell y'all how much I paid all together for this stuff, but I'll tell you that this line's only like $1.50 a foot. These fittings right here are $10 a piece. There's 6 fittings right here. You do the math. That's not counting this stuff. That's like a $20 fitting right here. This is like a $6 fitting. That 45 that I installed on the Parker push lock, that's a $40 fitting. This stuff right here, this dash 10 Fragola, that's, I can't remember how much that was, but it's not cheap. Neither are these fittings. But I don't want to skimp by and spend money on cheap Chinese fittings, especially after some of the stuff I've seen on the internet the past couple of days. It's just better to spend the money up front and get this good name brand stuff. Like I said, I really like Fragola. anyways, you can see right here, and I'll talk about what each one of these do. So I made these 290s on the top of the wastegates right here. Come over and go into one. And what these will be for probably will be, they'll either be the CO2 feed or the CO2 sensor. And the way the boost leash works is you don't have a sensor in the top of the wastegate like you would with like Holley boost control. It has the sensor in the solenoid, or not in the solenoid. It's in a map sensor that's in the car. So you just run another line. So like say these lines right here, these two straight ones that come from the top of each wastegate. Let's just say that they would go to that map sensor. So the leash would know how much CO2 is on top of this gate. So if it put a little too much on here, it would be able to bleed that CO2 back off. And that's how that works. And then, of course, you need your boost reference on the bottom of each gate. I've got a 90 coming off right here. And it comes around, of course. And then a straight coming off the bottom of this wastegate over here. And that just goes right up to my vacuum block, I should say. So probably what I'll do is I'll take a zip tie and zip tie all of this stuff together so it'll stay away from these heat sources right here, because I'm not going to wrap this hot side just yet. I want to test it and make sure that we're not going to break any of these welds, because this was one of my first hot sides, and Sergio is kind of getting some practice on this stuff, so we want to make sure that we're not going to crack any welds before I toss heat wrap on this thing. But heat wrap will get tossed on it at some point in time, just not right away. So probably zip tie these up just to keep them away from the heat. You don't want to get these lines too hot because they will melt. They're just like a plastic. So I don't know yet. You guys stay tuned. I'm probably going to assemble this stuff a little bit later whenever I can get the turbo mounted back in the car. That's all the rambling that I've got for today. I just want to keep some videos coming and keep something on the channel to keep you guys somewhat entertained. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Y'all stay tuned. This build is coming right along. I got pistons ordered the other day. Like I said, I'm going to a 363 bore, and I went with the mod 2K pistons from Diamond. Having to do a little bit of custom work on them because they're going to be a 363 bore for the trick flow heads, and I have to go to a different dish volume than what Diamond normally offers. So looking at about 3 weeks on the pistons, so y'all stay tuned. As soon as those things get here, going to be looking at those. Hopefully the block will be sleeved soon, still waiting on that. And then once all that stuff gets here, we'll be able to balance it and we'll be able to assemble everything. And because I'm building all of this stuff beforehand, there's a reason why I'm doing this. I will be able to put the engine in the car and just put everything on the car, and it'll be ready to rock, crank it up, break it in, and hopefully go racing. So really looking forward to all that. So you guys be sure and stay tuned. If you're not subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get notifications when I upload new videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to y'all later.